Now let's do one thing. Let's try to write up a provisioning plan in Java. Let's try to write up a very basic provisioning plan in Java by, I'm just going to utilize this knowledge only. Okay. Let me create one more package. That is plans. New class sample provisioning plan. So how a provisioning plan looks like basically. Let's say public provisioning plan get plan. Let me import the return plan. So what I will do over here, I will create a blank object of a plan. So provisioning plan equal to new provisioning plan. So I've created an instance of a plan. Now we need to basically look into what a plan contains. Inside the plan, we have the identity details, right? We have first the inside the plan, we have the identity detail, and the plan contains list of account details. So a plan contains identity and the list of account details. So let me do one thing. Let me first build up a list of account details. Okay. So let me create a list of account request equal to new array list. Let me import java.util.list and also the array list. So I've just created a list over here. Now I need to make sure that I should populate all the account requests inside this list. Then the next thing what we require, this list of account requests, we need to add it to the plan. But before that, I need to add what? Inside this list, I need to add various account request objects. So let me create an account request object over here. Account request ACCREQ equal to new account request. I created a blank object of account request. Let me import sailpoint.object.provisioning plan. Now I need to what a account request basically contains. A account request contains operation, application, native identity, and list of attribute request, right? It contains these information. So let me first set up the operation, application name, and native identity. So ACCREQ dot set application. So here I'm going to set up the application. Let's say for me the application is corporate OUD. I'm just giving any application name over here. Then I need to set the operation as well. So account request dot set operation. Now what operation I wanted to set? I wanted to set the operation of create, let's say. So account request that operation dot, you can see these are the various operations which are possible. Create, delete, disable, enable, lock, modify, unlock. So these are the various operations which are possible. So let me use create operation. So I'm also attaching that, okay boss, for this application, for this operation. And the last thing what we need to do, we need to also attach the native identity or the native identifier for the application, right? So ACCREQ dot set native identity. Let me just set the ID as, let's say, for corporate OUD, I will just attach this. The native identifier of the user in the target system. So inside the account request, what I have done, I have done with the application name, operation, and then the native identity. So this line I have written up. Now we have to create various instances of attribute request. So let me create an attribute request over here. Attribute request, attr request equal to new attribute new attribute request. Here, let me first import particular attribute request class. Attribute request. So there are various flavors. So I'm going with the method or the constructor which will consume the name, operation, and the value. Name, operation, and the value. I will go with that. So the name of the attribute I wanted to give it as, let's say, what are all the attributes that we are passing for OUD? CN. What is the operation? The operation for me is basically attribute request dot. So the operation is basically defined over here. So let me first define the operation which you wanted to assign for this particular thing. Dot operation dot, let's say I have to set this value, set, and then the value. Let's say I wanted to set CN as some value. So it will be calculated by you that how the value is going to be assigned. Let's say value I'm going to set it as this. Then if you have other attributes as well, let me define other attributes as well over here. So attribute request attr request 1 equal to new attribute request. Here instead of CN I will pass now SN as, let's say, gray. Similarly, all the other attributes which you wanted to pass in order to support this create operation, just create those attributes over here. Now what we need to do, we need to add all these attribute requests where we need to add it and couple it or bundle it with our account request object. So I'm going to add this thing to my account request object. So what I will do, account request dot add attribute request 1 account request dot add attribute request. So what I have done, two different attribute requests which I have created, I have added to my account request object. I have added to my account request object. Now what I am going to do, I am going to add my account request object. I'm going to add my account request object to my list of account request. So ACC dot add account request. Try to understand this part. This attribute request I have added to my account request. Now account request I'm adding to this list, and then this list I will add to plan. So plan dot set account request. You can see it will ask you a list of account request. Mentioned it. Now I again need to add couple of other details as well. A plan contains the identity details as well, right? So far I didn't mention any identity detail. So plan dot set native identity. So enter the native identity for the user for which you wanted to run this entire thing. Let me take a reference from here. So the native identity is going to be this one. Then we also have the target integration. If you wanted to add it, add it. Otherwise, it is not mandatory. Okay. So we have added a plan with account request and native identifier, and then account request is basically added with application, operation, and the native identity for the application. And then we have two different attribute requests which got added over here, right? So this is how a sample provisioning plan looks like. This is how you are going to write up a sample provisioning plan in Java.